Money Sense, bringing an informed financial perspective to the Cayman community.
Good morning, and welcome to Money Sense, where we discuss, debate, and consider matters of financial interest here in the Cayman Islands and around the world, presented by the CFA Society of the Cayman Islands. Your hosts today are myself, Amy Hubble, and fan favorite, Emil Kalinowski. Good morning, Emil.
That's very good. Good morning, Amy.
And also in studio with us today, we have Mr. Alan Shine. Alan is a certified financial planner professional and has been providing investment, insurance, and wealth management services to individuals, companies, and trusts for over 13 years. He is the founding director of a registered financial services and advisory firm based in South Africa and is now a senior investment advisor here in the Cayman Islands after making it his home in 2015. Alan has been giving back to Cayman by conducting free financial wellness presentations and workshops at various companies here in Cayman, and has also taken on some young Caymanian clients on a pro bono basis, striving to make a positive impact on their future through increasing their financial literacy. Welcome, Alan.
Thank you very much for having me.
Financial planning.
Yeah.
It's a great topic.
That it is.
Especially for this morning. And sometimes I get the idea, and people, I think expressed to me at least, that they think that financial planning is kind of only for the super rich people, and that's the only type of people that financial planners serve. What do you think to say to people when they kind of express that?
Well, as a financial advisor, that sort of thought is what irritates me the most. So often when I speak to people, like, hey, do you need to get any financial advice? They're like, no, well, I don't earn enough money. Oh, I don't have any money saved. I don't need any financial advice. So, I always go back to the thing that financial planning is not so much about the money you have. It's about what you do with the money that you do have,
Yeah.
It's about planning your wealth. So you don't have to have a lot of money to have a lot of wealth, but you do have to understand your finances, because if you don't have that, one of the cornerstones of your life is going to be missing, and you're not going to be happy, and without that you can't have any form of wealth. So that's really, everybody needs to get some sort of financial advice, an outside perspective on what's happening in their lives, because most people go to work, they earn their salary, they spend the majority or all of it or more than all of it, and get into debt. And that's where dealing with a financial advisor can actually take an outside look at your position, what's happening in your life, and actually, tell you the information you need to hear, or, the stuff that you don't want to hear. But they can actually tell you those things and also give you the path to becoming, making use of your money a bit better.
Yeah, I love that definition of wealth, of not necessarily just being in dollar terms. Wealth can mean a wealth in time. It can be a wealth of happiness. It can be in a wealth of, kind of living where you want to live. It can be in a job that you like, but it does not necessarily mean money when we talk about wealth.
Exactly, but like if you're in debt and those sorts of things, it's going to be very difficult to have any kind of wealth. So, if you have stresses of life like that, it's going to be difficult to achieve any kind of happiness.
Right.
So if you can get control of those things and have a plan and a way forward in your life, you're going to be a lot happier in the long run. So that's why everybody needs a financial planner.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Financial planning seems to imply that it's wealth management, savings management, but that's not necessarily true, right? Because insurance also comes into play.
Yeah.
And it seems as no matter what your level of savings, I think everyone has to have some level of insurance. So financial planning and insurance comes into play.
Definitely. So I would argue that a good financial advisor is somebody that doesn't just understand where to invest your money or what to do with it and how much to have and the general structures, but they should also understand insurance. They should also understand psychology of money. They should also understand I lost my track there, but they should basically be able to look at your life and see what's going on. So if you understand insurance and how that can work in conjunction with a savings plan, so like if something happens to you, heaven forbid, you don't have to wipe out all your savings just because you may be in a car accident or something like that. You want insurance that's going to pay out. You don't have to use your life savings to pay for the back of the Tesla that you just drove into. So that's where insurance becomes an important part of it, and having a good financial plan factors in taking care of risk as well.
My weakness is on the insurance side. I don't know anything about insurance. What kind of formats of insurance are we talking about in your day-to-day financial planning meetings?
So generally it would be your life insurance, disability cover, severe illness cover, or dread disease cover. That's the general, and obviously your car and home insurance as well generally factors in. Your medical insurance is a big one. Mm-hmm. But with insurance, it's often easy to get carried away with insuring yourself, because you start getting that fear factor of going, well, if you're one of that type, you do start getting the fear factor. Like, oh, well, what if this happens? Then I need to cover that. Oh, what if this happens? Then I need to cover that. And you end up taking so much insurance that you don't have any money left to invest. So that's also wrong. So you need to get a good balance of going, okay, well, my insurance just leaves me in the same position as I was if any event happened. Then you probably have more or less the right levels of insurance. But it's difficult to get the exact right amounts.
Yeah, I think you may have answered my question, but is there a silver bullet to what you were saying? Is there a general goal when it comes to insurance? Because I think I would be susceptible to over-insuring.
Yeah.
And Amy, is this something that's common with your clients as well?
It definitely is, and over-insuring, especially on the life insurance side, because people don't understand that your need for life insurance really decreases as you get older, because you're really what you're wanting to do is you are insuring yourself for your future earnings for your family, or that debt that you've already taken on. Whereas as you get closer to retirement, a lot of those debts get paid off. There's a lot fewer years of earnings potential, so your need for life insurance actually decreases as you get older. But a lot of people are underinsured in things like disability coverage or long-term care, and that you're a lot more likely to become have some disability that could affect your specific job in your lifetime than you are to die early. But would you agree kind of what you see?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. A lot of people have life insurance, but they haven't covered themselves if they get sick. They're like, oh, my medical insurance will cover that. Right. And it's like, no, it actually won't. You need something that will fit in with anything that happens to you. So some people will have disability cover, but then they still don't have any dread disease cover. But, when most people think about disability, they think about a critical illness in actual fact, or what would be covered under your sort of dread disease cover. So like disability cover will pay if you can't work, but dread disease cover will pay if something bad has happened to you. So the point where you can't work is it's really, really bad. But the point where you don't want to work, like let's say heaven forbid you have cancer, you don't want to work, but now your disability cover is not paying out, so you've got a problem. And then, sooner or later, maybe you even lose your job because you're unfit to work, but you can work. So they don't mind that. Well, they're not looking at can you stay employed at your employer. It's can you do your occupation for a lot of the types of insurance policies you get. So you've got to kind of have the right balance. Like you said, the silver bullet, it's difficult to say. For most people, but there is a good balance. There is a sort of way of putting it together that makes sense, and and that stops you getting carried away. Yeah.
Well, and along those lines, because everything about financial planning is very personalized. It's almost there's never one answer that's going to fit everyone's situation. Emil's probably susceptible to being overinsured. I'm probably susceptible to being underinsured. How do I find that balance? How do I get started with financial planning or with a financial planner? Do I start on my own first, or should I go and start with a professional first?
Yeah, I would say to start with a professional. Obviously you want to do your research on them, make sure that they're reputable, that they are registered and licensed to give financial advice, that they are part of a professional body that's regulating the type of advice that they give. And then you want to sit with that advisor and actually talk about, a budget, a place to
The
start.
B word.
Yeah. Most people don't stick to a budget, but that's okay as long as you have a budget. So I'd say that the most important part is to understand what income you have, set up a budget, and then actually have a game plan of, okay, well, how much am I going to try and save every month? How much do I need to save? What do I need to do to get to this end goal that I have? So that's really where you need to start is just understanding the daily transactions with your money, where's it going and all that. So one of the things that I always like doing with people is breaking down how much their car costs them in time, and then all of a sudden things start clicking into place. They're like, oh, like a little bell goes off. They're like, oh, wait, I have to work 1 day a week for my car. So if I said to them, well, what if I told you don't have to work 5 days a week anymore? You only have to work 4 days a week, but you have to sell your car. They're like, oh, I'll definitely do that. I wouldn't even buy the car. I'm like, but you did when you looked at what you could afford, Mm-hmm. So that's where it's important, where budget comes in, is looking at those things and understanding, like, where's my money going? How much do I have to work for it? And then what can I do with it, before I spend it?
Yeah, what are your values? It's not always about having a strict budget that you never get to have any fun, but again, finding that balance of enjoying the money that you're making now versus planning for your future.
Well, that's exactly, yeah. So you have to, when you're doing your budget, pick your lifestyle. Because otherwise it'll pick you, and it's not going to be the one that's good for your budget, so it's easy to get carried away.
Especially on this island.
Yeah, especially. So you really do have to pick your lifestyle and stick to that. So, if you want a certain type of car, if you want a certain type of house, you want to, go out often for dinner, things like that, then that's how much it's going to cost. So if you're looking at the numbers and it doesn't fit, then okay, well, I've got to adjust my lifestyle a bit.
Yeah, well, how do you stick to it on this island? Are there any tips for that?
Again, I'd say the budget.
I'm talking for myself, so please.
It is difficult because if I, again, look at myself as well, I can get carried away. It's very easy to do here. But I'd say, if you want to protect yourself from yourself, move the money out of your account. The day you get paid, move it out, and then that's all you've got left. And you may start off the month a bit more extravagant, but as the month goes, then, you start realizing, wait, I'm going to have more month at the end of my money. So you're going to start cutting back.
More month than your money. So you mean too, as far as moving the money out of your kind of basic spending account into savings right away when you get paid too.
Absolutely.
Is what you mean.
Yeah, definitely. But most people end up withdrawing that within the month as well. So that's, again, where you have to be strict and have discipline when it comes to your finances. Otherwise, you're really just going from month to month doing nothing. And again, that's where a financial planner can come in and give that guidance, is going, hey, you're not actually doing what you said you were doing. You need to start doing something. So you need to stick to the plan. Otherwise, if nobody's checking up on you, you can get away with not saving, not investing for months at a time, which is it's a real shame, Yeah.
Speaking of guidance, I'd like to double back just to what you said a little bit earlier. It sounded very interesting, but I didn't quite get it. Translating expenses into time.
Yeah.
Can you give me another example where you were saying that your car costs you 1 day a week? Can you give me another example just so I can sink my teeth into it?
So basically, most people have to work for their income. So that's where you spend the majority of your day life. So you wake up, you go to work, you come home and you eat dinner, you go back to bed. If I'm going to really break your day down in a miserable way. But that's what you're doing every day, but you're actually working for somebody else, okay, for that income that they're giving you. And that income, if you spend it, it's gone. So you haven't done anything with it, okay? And what that actually means is that you have spent a whole month not spending any time or care on yourself, because all the money you've had is also gone. So there's nothing left for you. So you haven't sort of paid yourself, as some books say. But if you start breaking your income down into how much time you have to work, then you can start getting a more sort of tangible way of thinking about your time and your money, because now you can see, what am I spending my time on? So I like to get people to think of money as time. Because if you've got a whole lot of money in the bank, you have a whole lot of time because now you don't have to work, So, which is typically retirement for most people, but well, even not for most people, but unfortunately. But yeah, so money is time, really. If you've got it, then you've got more time on your hands. You've got more opportunities to take. But if you don't have it, you need to create the time, and often that means cutting back on some of your expenses so that you can create this time. So I don't know if I've kind of explained it the right way, but
no, I really like that.
Yeah,
it makes it more tangible. Amy, have you done that with your clients? Have you translated money into something more less abstract than money with your clients?
From time to time, but while we're having a great conversation, we do need to take a short break, but we're going to come back in 30 seconds and continue our conversation with Alan Shine.
Sailing the high seas.
That's the theme for this year's Miss Teen pageant.
The 39th annual Miss Teen Cayman Islands pageant will be held at the Lions Community Center on Saturday, August 24th. Gates open at 5:30 p.m. Showtime is at 7 p.m.
Tickets are available at Funky Tangs, Lorna's Rubis, The Finishing Touch, Sings Roadie Shop, and Event Pro.
Premium seating is $40 pre-sold, $50 at the gate. General admission is $25 pre-sold, $30 at the gate. Children ages 6 to 12, $15 pre-sold, $20 at the gate.
Thanks to our sponsors, Digicel, Marshall's Rent-A-Car, Grandville House, CUC,
Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports, Agriculture and Lands, The Finishing Touch, Rubis, King Sports Center, Eclipse Hair Design and Day Spa,
Island Embroidery, Margaritaville Beach Resort, and Radio Cayman.
See you at the Lions Center on Saturday, August 24th.
The Miss Teen 2019 pageant, we are sailing the high seas.
This is
Money Sense, bringing an informed financial perspective to the Cayman community. Brought to you by the CFA Society Cayman Islands.
And now, more Money Sense.
All right, welcome back to Money Sense. We are continuing our conversation on financial planning with our guest, Mr. Alan Shine. Alan, in the second half of the show, we're going to talk about kind of the current environment and kind of if it's the right time to invest, and then kind of what you should ultimately be doing with your money at this point in time. There's a lot of rumors going around this table, even, that we could be heading for a recession. Is now the right time? Should you be in cash? Should you be investing? What should you do?
Yeah, I mean, to start with that, I've always got to put the little disclaimer in. It depends on your current financial situation, what's happening in your life before, you go and do things with your money. But, generally what you should be doing is ignoring what's happening in the news and in markets and things like that. And this is if you're looking at a long-term plan, so that's why I say it's very subjective on the person. But, most people can't time the market. They don't know exactly when something's going to happen. So we might go into a recession. They might do more quantitative easing. And then, recession averted. And now you've just missed out on a whole lot of growth that you could have had. So you can't preempt what the market is going to do. So you have to basically lie down and take it. You're going to just go with the market because that's been proven to be the best thing, is to be in the market, be invested. And
which market? Which... Specifically, what are we talking about when we say market?
Well, I'm referring to stocks, equities, shares, that sort of thing. So it doesn't, you don't have to be specific on the countries and that sort of thing, or at least not for now. But you need to be investing in shares and equities, through a platform that gives you access to a large amount of these businesses around the world, so that you can get the diversification. So, one market might go into recession, another one, goes up. So if you've got a portfolio that's got a bit of both, you kind of hedge out that problem. But now if you're looking at, and this happens to a lot of people, they are expecting things to turn bad, so they don't invest. And then things do go bad, and they're like, oh, I was right. And then they still don't invest. And then more and more bad news is coming out. Companies are closing down. Businesses are going bankrupt. People are losing their jobs. Interest rates start going up, or who knows. So you hold on to your money even more, and you don't want to invest it now because you're like, it's the end of the world's coming. And the news is confirming it, and your thoughts before were confirming it. So you start building up a bias of things are getting worse. So that will generally carry on while the market's busy picking back up. The market will be picking back up, and then there's another shock, and then it carry on picking up, and then there's another shock, and all along the person sitting with their cash in their hand doesn't invest. And that's the problem, is that if you don't invest, you run the risk of never investing. And I've seen it with clients. They stay in cash, and I've actually got one client that's a very good example. It was in 2008, investing his retirement money, doesn't get involved, still to this day in the money market. And if I show him how much money he would have had today, it's 3 times the amount that he has now, even though maybe would have lost some sleep here and there where markets dropped 20%. But overall, you're losing 20% of after making 400% on your money. I'm just giving a figure there as an example. But that's the thing. You're losing money from having more money, where the guy that was in cash, he didn't lose anything, but he didn't make anything either. So he's actually got less.
Right. And I agree with really everything you're saying, and probably because we're both financial planners, so that we're both trained that way. But I think that's exactly right, is people do get in this spiral of fear. And I think that's where a financial planner can really play a very vital part. I mean, I think in my business even, it feels like half couples counseling, half psychology, a little bit of money management just rolled in there. But it is a lot of just convincing people to stay with their discipline, because you're exactly right. Yeah. If the market has run up 20% while you've been sitting on the sidelines, and then it dips 10% and you get in there and you feel like you've won because you bought at the bottom, you didn't buy at the bottom. You missed half of that run up. And I think exactly what you're saying is, when you are investing for the long term, or you're investing for retirement, or you're investing for the rest of your life, it doesn't really matter these like one-off news events. It's a blip. Even tiny recessions here and there, you cannot time the market successfully. You have to be right way too many times. You're either going to be in at the wrong time or out at the wrong time, and in between, you're going to be subject to the transaction costs that it costs to get in and out. And so I 100% agree with you. I never recommend my clients get out of the market in really any kind of downturn situation. And
that's why I say I just want to jump in and like on the couples counseling, and that's actually that's why you need a financial advisor that can relate to you and understands what tools to use to help you make the best decision. Sometimes you have to be pushed, and sometimes you have to be led. So sometimes when you sit down with a client and understand their position, understand what keeps them awake at night, understand how they think about markets, you can start building in things for them to feel more secure about the decisions that they're making, because you can back it up mostly with facts. And then them making the decision becomes a lot easier, rather than this fear, they don't know what's happening. So it's providing the information that they need to hear, rather than just bombarding them with...
Or giving them trade-offs. You can invest, or we can do it the old-fashioned way, and you can save, and you can probably still meet your goals that way too, but you're going to have to stick to a much stricter budget now if you don't invest. Yeah. But you can absolutely typically meet your goals. You're just going to have to aggressively save. What do you think, Emil? Give us the other side of the table.
I'm a little bit anxious about the idea of investing in the market at any time, but I would be less anxious if I was given the option of investing in various markets. Yeah. So it seems like we're talking about stocks, but what about bonds? What about other asset classes? It seems like that could maybe take some of the fears out of the discussion if you tell people that you're not investing just in stocks, but in many things, like an all-weather portfolio that are balanced. Sometimes this will go up, sometimes this will go down. What do you do that with clients?
Yes, I do. So it again depends on what their risk profile is, what sort of returns they need to be making, what's their investment objectives, and again, what's the things that bother them that are things they consider as risks. But what I generally do is build a portfolio for them that suits their needs, and then take them through this is where your money's going. Look, it's not just going to the USA. It's going all over the world. It's going maybe a bit more this country for this reason, maybe a bit more that country for that reason, maybe a bit more bonds, maybe, you know what, you're more comfortable with property. Let's look at adding some property to your portfolio just so that you can understand what's happening like as a first step in. So you can mix up the different asset classes you have, and there is merit to that as well. But each asset class has also got its problems. Like one of the on bonds now that's considered so safe, next to cash, is, a lot of people are saying that might be where the next sort of crisis comes from, is a liquidity problem, because everyone's piling into bonds right now to get a safe return, but can you get all the money back out is the question, and with all the quantitative easing and all that's happening in the world, that's becoming more of a question. So everything has its risks and everything has its reasons why you should take the risk or not take the risk. But yes, to sit down with somebody and take them through, this is where your money's going, this is why it's going there, this is the fundamentals of it, and this is what can happen. Because when something bad happens, and it will, somewhere along the line, you need to stick to your guns and play the long game. Whereas if this is the first time you've heard about it as an investor, that I can actually lose some money here or lose some value, then you're going to have a knee-jerk reaction. Whereas if your financial advisor says, wait, but we knew this was going to happen, just keep doing what you're doing, pat in the back, chin up, and off you go. Then people generally would be more comfortable over the long term. But yeah, I like taking people through their portfolio. What was my thoughts behind it? Looking at even just correlation of different funds that I've chosen, why I've chosen those two different funds, and how they work together to lower your overall risk. So it's risk management basically, or trying to get a risk-adjusted return. So you can be all equities based or all shares based, but still lower your overall risk by spreading it across geographic regions, different types of stocks. So that's where that's the fun part of investing, is actually looking at
not putting too much risk in one country or one asset.
Yeah.
Well, we're almost out of time, but one more question: real estate. Because especially on this island, the majority of people's assets seem to be in real estate. And a lot of people tell me, they're like, well, I just put my money into my house. I pay off my mortgage faster. Should they be paying off their mortgage faster, or do you think they should be investing outside? Or some of both?
Yeah, I would say some of both. It's not a mutually exclusive decision. It is nice to know that immediately if you put this extra money into your mortgage, you are saving that amount of interest. Whereas if you had to invest it, you're not certain if you're going to get that amount of interest or growth back over the short term. So that's why most people tend to want to put it into their mortgage. But you can't eat your house, okay? So that becomes a problem, is that a lot of people
can't get it back out right away.
Yeah. So a lot of people are putting this extra money in their mortgage, and that's fine. I mean, that's good. But if you don't have anything else in your portfolio, you may run into a problem where you've paid off your house, 65, you're supposed to be retiring now, and now you have no money. It's a problem. Now you end up having to sell it in anyways and downgrade. So that's where the problem comes in. And the other thing is also diversification. So it's all good and well buying properties here in Cayman, but if things go wrong and all your money is here, it's a problem. So that's why you want to add diversification against property as well, just to spread your risk.
Yeah.
It sounds like I need a professional.
I think we all do.
All these balls juggling in the air.
Yeah.
Well, sadly, and I think this has been a great conversation, but we are out of time. Alan, thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to having you on again.
Thank you very much, yes.
Before we go, we'd like to remind you that the CFA Society Cayman Islands will be hosting the 7th Annual Cayman Investment Forum at the Ritz-Carlton on October 17th. This year's theme is the future of human decision-making, and it will focus on what role in today's data-driven world the human brain still plays in financial decision-making, just like we were talking about. So you won't want to miss that. You can learn more and register at www.caymaninvestmentforum.com, and listeners of Money Sense can get an extra 10% off by using the discount code MONEYSENSE. That's one word, all caps, and we look forward to seeing everyone there. Finally, we encourage anyone who has a question or a topic they'd like us to cover to please email us at moneysense@canw.ky or tweet us at @MoneySenseRadio. As a reminder, a recording of today's show will be available as a podcast on the CFA Society Cayman Islands website and now on all your favorite Apple and Android podcasting apps. Just search for Money Sense Cayman and click to subscribe. With that, so long, farewell, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go